So E3 2021 was a pile of garbage. I did not watch any of the E3 conferences besides, of course, Nintendo, because at least Nintendo does not hate, you know, us. They'll hate gamers. Okay, I don't really play games that much anymore, but E3 is the epitome of why I don't watch E3. Okay, so E3 2021 was probably the worst E3 in all of history. Okay, why is it the worst E3 in all of history? Well, it is probably the worst E3 of all time. Okay, of all time, except for Nintendo. Except for Nintendo. So yeah, the worst E3 of all time, E3 2021, was an absolute joke. Okay, so we'll go over all the announcements. Oh, there was nothing. Oh yeah, except for Metroid Dread and whatever Nintendo announced. What is there to be excited about? And I think this is why I say there's a second class coming in gaming. People say, "Oh, it's just some conspiracy theory that you're making up." Well, it isn't. No games are coming out because again, the hiking up game prices for absolutely no reason. That's because Sony wants more money. The usual. No games that people actually want to buy are coming out. Okay, no games that look interesting. Most of the games look crap. Like they ragged on Halo Infinite, but then you have games that look like complete absolute shit. Okay, no games that look interesting. That's rehashes of old games, sequels that we don't need. Okay, it's funny how the gaming industry is now becoming like the movie industry. Okay, all they care about is greed and money. Okay, and rehashing the same old, same old. Okay, we're sick of this. Okay, Square Enix. We're sick of this, Capcom. We're sick of this, Microsoft. We're sick of this. All the companies, of course, except Nintendo. And this shows how little companies actually care. And the worst offenders, of course, are these four idiots right here. Capcom, Square Enix, Ubisoft, and of course, the disappointing as always PC Gaming. So, at least Xbox sold stuff. Unlike these idiots right there, which sold virtually nothing. Okay, virtually nothing. Okay, like what did Capcom show? Okay, that was worth buying. Wait, you still don't buy anything from Capcom anyways, because you know what? Capcom will probably just copyright strike your video anyways, because they can't stand criticism of their games. Yep, that's the reason why. And and Ubisoft, they have sold the same games that we already know about. And Square Enix, they have sold more Sonoi exclusives. Yep, that's all we got. On PC Gaming, so they sold nothing like always, besides garbage indie games. And what's with Microsoft's E3s? Every single one of Microsoft's E3s is always a bunch of garbage indie games that no one's gonna buy. It's just, why do we need all these indie games? Okay, Microsoft, why do we need all these indie games? But at least Microsoft sold stuff. They sold Starfield, Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon 5, and Stalker 2. And all the other companies that said, oh, blah, 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 blah. But E3 was disappointing. Okay, the dislike to like ratio on the E3 videos are probably not that great as well. So yeah, 10 games that surprisingly those sold E3, but what was the show at E3? They sold literally nothing. Okay, nothing. Yeah, Xbox E3 2021 was really good. Yeah, if you're a fan of indie games, of course. If you're a fan of indie games, it's pretty good. But for people who want to play normal games, not indie games, well, Microsoft's E3 was probably, I didn't see the whole thing. I probably don't plan to see it. It probably is better than the terrible, terrible other E3s that were shown. The terrible other announcements they were shown. But Microsoft's E3 is basically the same as you expect every single time. No new games, same stuff, indie garbage, indie garbage, indie garbage. And Sony, we don't even know what they're doing with their games. Sony's just trying to kill themselves. Okay? We don't even know what Sony is doing. Okay? But I believe the least disliked trailer ones was Xbox's E3. You know? Yeah, Xbox's E3 was not hated that much. Yeah, same thing with Nintendo's, but we can go to the rest of E3. Okay, the rest of E3, we have, E3 2021, gamers, and proves how much the industry hates gamers. Kind of like how much, and we have like the Ubisoft E3. Okay, maybe, Microsoft, I've not seen all of Microsoft's E3. Maybe it wasn't that bad, but Microsoft's E3s are always very disappointing. No new games, nothing new, but at least they sold stuff. So because they actually sold stuff, okay, top 10 games that were trying to take these sold The Last of Us Part 2. Very true. Abby sucks. Abby sucks. Abby should go to hell. Okay, but for actually sewing games. Oh yeah, and then we have the Forbidden West with the ugly character faces. Like they could, like, why? Why? They seriously made a third Granny game? Wow. Okay, the Sega thing, the Sonic thing, was probably more interesting than the entirety of Ubisoft's thing, the entirety of, Square Enix's thing, the entirety of Ubisoft's, all the other E3 things, and there's a reason why. Sony hates gamers, they abandon, PS5 is trash. I agree with this guy. Okay, we need to, Sony is just complete garbage. I don't know why people still buy Sony platforms. I very much believe that Sony is fudging their numbers for the consoles. The PS5 isn't selling that fast and nobody can buy the console. Okay, how can a console be selling so fast when it has no games? We have Square Enix's E3. It was embarrassingly bad. Okay, with Square Enix is basically becoming a, Sony, I'm not gonna say that word, but a Sony bootlicker. Okay, I was gonna say the other word of that C word, but a Sony bootlicker. Okay, that's all Square Enix is becoming. Okay, is a Sony bootlicker. That's all they have basically been coming. Okay, E3 2020. We have all these videos about E3 2021 sucked, except for Nintendo. Here, E3 2021 hit rock bottom. E3 2021 sucks. E3 2021 reaction did suck. But we have all of the conferences. I'm not gonna watch all those other ones except for Nintendo's because Microsoft's is the same thing. It's a bunch of indie games that nobody's gonna buy. A bunch of indie games that nobody's gonna buy. They're gonna show off Halo, the new Halo games. Wherever all the other games Microsoft owns. But this is modern day gaming. We have games so ugly, so horrible, and let's look at Horizon Forbidden West. People are just roasting that game. For roasting that game. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And people say, "Boy, it's just people complain because they want the characters in SMM to look better," or something stupid like that. They'll say, "Oh, it's just the weebs complaining." Okay, the weebs complaining. Okay, but yeah, E3 2021 completely sucked with the exception of Nintendo, the only ones that actually care. We have the ugly looking Forbidden West. I actually think the PS4 version looks. The PS5 version looks horrible. PS5 game looks horrible. It's just the ugly looking graphics, and of course, it's gonna be, it's gonna probably get, 10s out of 10s by the critics, and then called a masterpiece by, IGN. Probably get Game of the Year because, Sony obviously, Sony will probably, and no wonder why. Sony was no sort of E3. They were probably Sony, two gay characters kissing, and that would been said, oh my god, it's IGN! Best E3 ever! Two gay characters kissing! Best E3 ever. So there we go. So E3 2021 completely and utterly was a pile of dog turds. Nothing new, nothing good announced. I didn't even buy, and God forbid people actually watched the actual things, the actual, E3. But E3 2021 just shows, okay, that shows how little gaming companies really care about gamers, okay? And that's basically it. This is why I'm saying there's a gaming crash coming, because this is absolute, E3 2021 is an absolute joke. And so, you have like, yeah, and we can go further, like Sony is dying in Japan, okay? Microsoft is just being Microsoft, showing no games, having no games, basically, because because of course they say, oh, but look at our indie games, Those are not games that will sell consoles, okay? I'm sorry, Microsoft. I wish Microsoft had actually put out games instead of indie games, like those Psychonauts and Halo's coming soon, but come on, guys, we don't need 100 indie games on our console. We don't need 100 indie games, but, yeah, Sony completely, I think, is the probably out of the three companies, probably the worst. So all Sony cares about now is wokeness. It's same thing in the movies, same thing in the games. It's the whole company. Goodbye.